We thank you for your patience and your understanding. It's my pleasure to introduce our panel guests. Seated immediately to my left is Middlesex OPP Provincial Constable Max Gomez. Constable Gomez is fluent in Spanish and will assist us today in identifying the victims. Next to Constable Gomez is Inspector Detachment Commander for Perth County, Inspector Steve Porter. Next to Inspector Porter is Commander of West Region, OPP, Chief Superintendent John Kane. Next to Chief Superintendent Kane is OPP Inspector Scott Lawson, Detachment Commander of Aurora OPP, attached to the OPP Highway Safety Division. Inspector Lawson is here today to provide information regarding the collision. My colleague at the back who will join me up here is Sergeant Pierre Chamberlain from our Corporate Communications Bureau, who will be available during and following the conference to provide any French language services if required. There will be an opportunity following all the speakers for some questions and answers, and we will moderate that for you. We'll now begin the conference, and I call upon Chief Superintendent John Kane for opening comments. Sir?
Thank you, Dave. Good morning, and thank you for coming today. As Dave has indicated, my name is Chief Superintendent John Kane, and I am the Commander of West Region OPP. On behalf of OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis, I'd like to take the opportunity today to extend our sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of those who have lost their lives in Monday's tragic crash in Hampstead. Such a profound loss of so many lives, all at once, seems unimaginable. We'd like those affected by this horrific crash to know that our hearts and our prayers are with you at this difficult time. The collision has presented our investigators with a difficult job. From a procedural standpoint, the grim task of identifying all 11 victims and notifying the next of kin both here in London and in Peru has been extremely challenging. I'd like to express my gratitude to the Peruvian consulate in Toronto for their invaluable assistance to us in this regard. On an emotional level, this incident has had a profound effect not only on the family and friends of those who lost their lives, but also on the residents of Perth County, and on the men and women who responded to this tragedy. The emotional burden placed on our officers and the other emergency members involved of this event of this magnitude can be a hard one to carry. Rest assured, those officers will not have to carry that burden alone. Our organization has supports in place to assist those members who will require help. The last point I'd like to emphasize this morning is that this crash did not have to happen, and these lives need not have been lost. Driver error is the largest contributing factor to collisions in Ontario. This tragedy underscores the importance of maintaining safe driving practices at all times. As we've seen tragically in this case, failure to follow the rules of the road can have a grievous and regrettable impact on lives. In closing, I'd like to thank the residents of Perth County and the media community for your patience as we continue to investigate this tragedy. We understand the great interest and concern surrounding what's happened. My apologies, this thing is sticking together. As a police organization, we owe it to the families of the victims, to those involved, and to the community at large to conduct the best investigation we can in order to bring some understanding and closure to what has been a truly heartbreaking event. And again, thank you for coming here this morning.
At this point, I would turn it over to Inspector Steve Porter, Detachment Commander of Perth County, for comments. Sir?
Good morning, and thank you for coming here today. I'm Inspector Steve Porter, Detachment Commander of Perth County, OPP. It's with a heavy heart today that I'm able to confirm the names of the victims of Monday's collision. Our primary concern in situations such as this is the best interest of the family and their loved ones that are left behind. To that end, we have worked in concert with the Peruvian consulate to identify the victims. To assist me in sharing the names of the victims, in the van, I'm calling upon Provincial Constable Gomez of the Middlesex OPP.
Good morning. The victims of the van are as follows. David Armando Blancas Fernandez, 45 years of age, from New Hamburg, Ontario. Mr. Blancas has been identified as the driver of the van. Jose Mercedes Valdivieso Tabo, 47 years of age. Cesar Augusto Sanchez Palacios, 51 years of age. Enrique Arturo Arenaza Leon, 48 years of age. Corsino Corso Jaramillo, 48 years of age. Mario Lizard Abreu, 48 years of age. Oscar Walter Compomontes Corzo, Juan Castillo, Elvio Suncion Bravo, Fernando Martin Valdivieso Correa. We're still working to establish the ages of the last 4 victims. When we have that information, we will pass it along to you. The 3 injured passengers in the van are identified as Javier Adelardo Alba Medina, 38 years of age. Mr. Alba Medina was taken to Stratford General Hospital by ambulance and later transferred to the London Health Sciences Centre, where he remains in fair condition. Juan Jose Ariza Mejid was 34 years of age today. He was transported to Stratford General Hospital, where he remains in critical condition. Edgar Sula Puma, 26 years of age, airlifted from the scene by air ambulance to Hamilton General Hospital, where he remains in critical condition.
As you're already aware, the driver of the truck has been identified as 38-year-old Christopher Colton of London, Ontario. Over the past 2 years, Perth County has responded to 6 fatal collisions annually. In January, Commissioner Lewis already alluded to the fact that fatal collisions in Ontario for 2012 were double the number for the same time period this year, or last year. This collision has only added to those numbers. This crash should cause all Ontarians to pause and seriously consider their own driving habits and change them for the better immediately. Incidents such as this have an overwhelming effect on everyone involved. Lives have forever been changed by Monday's crash, and the stark reality of what has unfolded will now set in. Moving forward, we will remain committed to the OPP goal of promoting road safety and doing our part in making our highways safe. It's our hope that the motoring public share these highways will do the same and drive safely. On behalf of the officers and staff of the Ontario Provincial Police, please accept our deepest and most heartfelt condolences for your loss.
Thank you, Inspector Porter. And for the media, there will be a list of names, proper spelling provided after this conference. It's my pleasure at this point to turn the conference over to Inspector Lawson, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Inspector Scott Lawson. I'm Commander in the Highway Safety Division. I'm here today to provide an update and a perspective on the collision that we're discussing this morning that occurred on February the 6th. What I can tell you today, by way of an update, is at approximately 4:51 p.m. on the 6th of February 2012, a Freightliner straight truck was traveling southbound on Perth Road 107. That is a posted 80 km/h highway. The straight truck then collided with a westbound GMC passenger van in the intersection of Road 47. Road 47 in that particular area is an unposted 80 km/h highway. I can also confirm this morning, based on information provided through our investigators, that the driver of the van, as you heard this morning, identified as Mr. Blancas, failed to stop and provide the right-of-way for oncoming traffic on Road 107. It was this action that caused the collision. I can also confirm this morning that there were, according to the Highway Traffic Act, there is a law in the Highway Traffic Act that states that any vehicle that transports more than 11 passengers requires it to hold a minimum of a Class F license. We know that Mr. Blancas, the driver of the passenger van, holds a Class G license. This van, in the configuration that we have found it, was capable of carrying 15 passengers, and at the time carried 13 occupants, including Mr. Blancas. This investigation falls under the guidance of the coroner's office as a death investigation, and as such there are parts of the investigation that we cannot comment on. There remains aspects of the collision that continue to be investigated by our members of the OPP, our collision reconstruction teams, our crime unit, our forensic identification units, and others. As you might expect, this collision is in its infancy, and there is a lot of work yet to be done. We have, I can tell you this morning, been working in very close partnership with the Ministry of Transportation, the Coroner's Office, the Transport Canada, the Ministry of Labour, our local emergency services providers, and the municipality of Perth. There are a number of factors that we will consider as we move forward in the investigation. In the conclusion of my comments, I'm prepared to answer some of those questions. At this time, I want to make it clear that there are a lot more questions than there are answers. I will do my best. I will tell you as much as I possibly can without compromising the investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector. That concludes the official part of our conference.